What is good, guys? So today we're going to be talking about where will Jimmy Garoppolo end up this offseason. So, when predicting where will Jimmy G land, I sort of wrote down every team that I think is in need of a quarterback, and some you could definitely argue. Um, the Ravens, for example, if they move off Lamar Jackson, they obviously need a quarterback. Okay, Tyler Huntley, he's a backup, and we all saw the tragic display of rookie Anthony Brown, unfortunately. And then you have some teams that I think you could debate whether or not they need a quarterback. The Lions, the Vikings, um, the Patriots, um, the Commanders, the Giants, the Seahawks, um, the Falcons, and yeah, those teams. You could debate whether or not those teams need quarterbacks. The Lions, Jared Goff, he had an improved year in his second year in Detroit's system. In my opinion, you're still limited with him. But does Detroit really want to go out there and get Garoppolo, who is starting to get hurt more and more and more, and throw him into a new offensive system when really Goff's been improving and offense isn't really the issue for this team. In fact, I think if the Lions do address the quarterback situation this offseason, I think it'll be through the draft. And you have the Vikings, Kirk Cousins, who I think he's the best starting quarterback in the league that isn't capable of winning a Super Bowl. I think you're limited with Kirk. He shrinks in big games, big moments. Only one playoff win his whole career. That wild game in the wild card round against the Saints in the Dome. And horrible Monday Night Football record. Excuse me. But yeah. But he puts up good stats, good numbers, got his team to the playoffs. So yeah, you can make the argument, won the division, Patriots. I've always thought there was a low ceiling with Mac Jones. What we saw at Alabama was basically what he was going to be with the Patriots. That's what he's been so far. But again, I understand the arguments that he's still young and it's not his fault for his regression this year. I can understand that one. The Commanders, I think you could argue, simply just because Sam Howell, the rookie fifth-round pick, he looked good at North Carolina before they drafted him. He looked good in their final game of the year. Could potentially give Sam Howell 1 year to see what he could do. And yeah, the Giants, you all know how I feel about Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones is a backup. I don't see the it with him. Never have. Didn't in college. Haven't the past 4 years. I think Brian Daboll's such a great coach. Cleaned up a lot of the sloppy work. And then Falcons, you could debate, because they're apparently going to give Desmond Ridder the Cincinnati Kid of the Year. I wouldn't, but that's what they're doing. You can debate the Seahawks too. Geno Smith, I think he's fine. I think he's proven he's a starter, but again, I still think you're limited with Geno. I think that, you take that run game away. I mean, you saw when Kenneth Walker was hurt. His numbers dipped. And then when Kenneth Walker comes back, they go back up. But then there is a handful of teams that I think, without question, most people who follow the NFL and know what football is and how it works would agree with me here that the Jets need a quarterback, the Dolphins need a quarterback, the Colts need a quarterback, the Texans need a quarterback, the Saints need a quarterback, the Buccaneers need a quarterback, the Panthers need a quarterback, and the Raiders need a quarterback. Let me get into those teams really quick. So the Jets, obviously, they had that whole debacle with Zach Wilson, fell apart. I'll get to that in a later video. Zach Wilson, he ain't it. Mike White's not it. Joe Flacco's past his prime. He ain't it. Chris Streveler definitely isn't it. Colts, Matt Ryan looks washed. I'm surprised Matt Ryan hasn't announced his retirement yet. Nick Foles had a great run with Philly, but he's a backup. And Sam Ehlinger, as much as I liked him coming out of college, is not good enough. Texans, Davis Mills, I know I can't really properly evaluate him with the talent around him, but he was a third-round pick for a reason. You never saw anything really that special from him. Saints, are you really going to run this thing back with Jameis Winston or Andy Dalton again? Both are backup quarterbacks in this league. And Taysom Hill, he's not a quarterback either, folks. I mean, he can make some good throws at times, but not on a consistent basis. Tampa, do you really trust Kyle Trask, who's never played a snap of football, or he's never played a snap of meaningful football, and it looked horrible in the preseason, and his coming out of college, I think, was Phillip Rivers, because his arm's fine, but can't move where it's crap. Panthers, Sam Darnold, you know what you got with him. PJ Walker, XFL guy, no. And the Raiders, who've been very vocal, the Raiders and Derek Carr aren't on very good terms. They're going to split, obviously, and I don't think Jarrett Stidham is the answer for them. And then I'm going to get to the Dolphins. And this is one where I think a lot of us are going to disagree, but nah. So the knock on Carson Wentz was talented, played well, but gets hurt way too much. Tua, he also gets hurt way too much. The difference is he doesn't have the arm strength that Wentz did, the athletic ability that Wentz did. Tua, he put up some fine stats, folks, but look at the roster around him. And again, people forget, before he got injured for the rest of the year, they lost 3 straight, and he did not look well against San Francisco or the Chargers or Green Bay. He just didn't. And so, I think those are teams that need quarterbacks. Now, with Jimmy Garoppolo, where are the best landing spots? I gotta be honest with you. I would say four pop out to me. I'll just give you the 5 best landing spots, but 4 pop out to me. 2 really look like the right moves. All right, so let's go. Top 5 landing spots with Jimmy Garoppolo. So we'll go from 5 to 1. So number 5, I think that the 5th best landing spot for Jimmy G would be the Seahawks. They're an in-division rival. Pete Carroll knows what he does well, what he doesn't do well. And think of what Jimmy Garoppolo would have with him, okay? First of all, Jimmy Garoppolo knows that organization has done him so wrong. He's to play him twice a year and get revenge. The offensive line is much improved since Russell Wilson's departure, okay? Kenneth Walker III, you have a great running game. And look at the weapons that you would get. You would get DK Metcalf, you would get Tyler Lockett, Noah Fant, Will Dissly, okay? The defense is getting better. You would have a legitimate roster to contend. And, you made the playoffs this year with Geno Smith. You definitely make the playoffs next year with Jimmy G. If I was Jimmy G, I'd be interested. I don't think Seattle would be interested, though. I think they're either going to run this thing back with Geno another year, or they're going to draft a quarterback. So I have the Seahawks at 5. And then 4th best landing spot for him would be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, simply because they still have some talent around them on the offensive side of the football, and Todd Bowles just ran the Brady offense, or he had an offensive coordinator that ran the Brady offense, so he could bring an offensive coordinator in and run a similar offense with Jimmy G, because Jimmy G, with the Patriots, ran a similar offense. If I was Jimmy G, would I be interested in Tampa? I would say yes. Apologize for the music, but if I was Jimmy G, I'd totally be interested in Tampa. Warm weather, weak division, still some weapons to throw to. I totally would be interested. If I was Tampa, I would too. Quarterback. You, as of right now, if you got Jimmy G, you'd have the best quarterback in the division, and I really think you'd probably win 3 straight division titles if this happened. the Seahawks one, I don't think will happen. I could see this Tampa one happening. But anyways, let's move on. Number 3, I think the New England Patriots. I mean, he was there before. Belichick's still there. They have a legit offensive coordinator now in Bill O'Brien, who's worked in New England before. I know they don't have a lot of weapons, but Belichick knows Jimmy G. He drafted him. He wanted him, but Robert Kraft said no. I think Jimmy G would be welcome back. I think Jimmy G would also be open to this. Probably isn't happening because of Mac Jones, but I wouldn't count this one out. I wouldn't. I really, really wouldn't. And the two that pop out to me the most. It's funny because the best fit I don't think is going to happen. But let's get to the second best fit first. The second best fit is the New York Jets. Robert Saleh was on Shanahan's staff when Jimmy G was there, and Jimmy G took him to the Super Bowl. Robert Saleh, he's going to know the type of offense that Jimmy G wants to run and that Jimmy G does well in. I mean, he went up against him in practice all those years. And Nathaniel Hackett, his offense is, run around a pure pocket passer, which Jimmy G is, so it could work. Jimmy G would also have 3 terrific running backs, Breece Hall, Michael Carter, James Robinson, Garrett Wilson at receiver, along with Elijah Moore, Denzel Mims. And then you have CJ Uzama at tight end. O-line, Elijah Vera-Tucker, Mekhi Becton. Your defense is great, so you don't have to worry about winning in shootouts. I think this would be a really good fit for Jimmy. I think the Jets are slightly interested. I think Jimmy G would welcome it too. I mean, and he fits that New York personality, And then, I think the Dolphins, nobody talks about them, but I think the Dolphins honestly is the best fit for him. Mike McDaniel was the offensive coordinator for him. They work together all the time. Jimmy, he's got warm weather Miami. He has Mike McDaniel. Terrific. The offensive line's improved quite a bit. Teron Armstead, one of the best left tackles in the game. And then there's that USC kid. I want to say his name's Austin Jackson or something like that. Oh, I forget his name, but I really like the USC offensive lineman that they have. And Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Mike Gesicki, Cedric Wilson. They have legitimate weapons. Great defense. So I honestly think that's the best fit for him. I really do. I think he would make Miami contenders easily, and I think Miami wins the division if he goes there. One team I did forget to touch on, this was my bad. I'm actually going to put this team at, I'll put this team at, I got to be honest, I'm shocked that I left this team out because I think this team that I just saw now is actually the second best fit for Jimmy Garoppolo, and that's the Las Vegas Raiders. Josh McDaniels, his old offensive coordinator from the New England days. He's not traveling far from San Francisco. It's Vegas. Jimmy G in Vegas. He just looks like the type of guy you'd see in Vegas and want to party with. He gets Devontae Adams, Darren Waller, potentially Josh Jacobs if they bring him back, Hunter Renfrow. Offensive line needs some work, but they can clear that up in the offseason. They have one offensive lineman that I like already. Defensive pieces. Obviously, you don't want to... It'd be tough because of the division you're in, which is why it's not the best fit, but it's definitely second or third best fit, in my opinion, is the Raiders. So we got, just to review it, Dolphins, probably Raiders, then Jets, Patriots, Buccaneers. We'll throw a sixth one in there, even though this was supposed to be top 5. And then the 6th one's the Seahawks. So, yeah. Where do I think Jimmy G ends up, though? I think those are the best fits. Where do I think he ends up? I'm gonna go with the Raiders. And again, I'm surprised they left that one out, but I just think that's the best fit. I think the Jets are going to try and go after a guy like Aaron Rodgers or Derek Carr. Miami, I think, sticks with Tua. New England, I think, sticks with Mac Jones. Seattle, I think, either sticks with Geno or drafts a quarterback. Um, Not sure what Tampa does, but I feel like the Raiders and Buccaneers would both want Jimmy G. And I feel like if it was up to Jimmy G, he would still choose the Raiders over the Buccaneers. So yeah, that's what I think Jimmy G does. I think Jimmy G is going to be a Las Vegas Raider going into the season. And so yeah, that's going to wrap it up for this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. More content coming throughout the week, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.